This idea of democracy, you know, the rule of the majority, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It brings us to the question of the difference between a republic and a democracy. I know that's a phrase that you probably have heard many times of people in this audience anyway. There have been books written on it and pamphlets written on it, speeches given on it and so forth. But still, people, what's the difference between a republic and a democracy? No, we're talking about the classic definition of the word republic. Not today, it doesn't mean anything today. I mean, we got the Republic of China, every dictatorship in the world calls itself a republic today. But classically, when the issue was brought up in the creation of the United States Constitution, and I'm back to that, the founding fathers of America had long discussions, and they exchanged letters and gave speeches about it, and they said, we do not want this country to be a democracy. That's the last thing we want. They said the democracy is the worst form of government imaginable because it always destroys itself. It feeds upon itself. It creates mob rule. And it just works so long as the majority can plunder the minority until finally everybody's plundering everybody else, and then it collapses and always goes into a form of dictatorship. And they said that over and over and over again. And they looked to history for examples, and they were right. They don't teach that in school now. In fact, they didn't teach it when I was going through, which was 3,000 years ago. And they had already forgotten it then. But it's a fact. So what is this difference between a republic and a democracy? Well, majority rule. Is that a good idea under all circumstances? Notice the phrase, all circumstances. What about a lynch mob? There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. That's majority rule, is it not? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it is. That's majority rule, but that's not such a good idea either. Why not? It's because individuals have rights. Even individual of one against the group has a right to a fair trial at least. And so the difference between a republic in the classical definition and a democracy is the democracy is majority rule, end of discussion. As long as you can get 51% of the vote, then you can do anything you want to do to the other 49%. Too bad about you guys, but you lost. We're winners. That's the kind of world we live in today. Democracy. We do have democracies today. They didn't start out as democracies, but that's what they have become. But a republic says, no, you can't do that. The majority cannot deny the rights of the minority, even a minority of 1 against 100 million. Mathematics has nothing to do with it. It's the principle of the individual. You see, we're back to individualism versus collectivism. It's the principle of the supremacy of the individual. We have rights that are ingrained in us, and I don't care how many other people there are that want to take our rights away. They may be able to do so because they have all the numbers, but they don't have the right to do so. And so if we're putting together the kind of a philosophical program that we want the future to live by, we want our children and grandchildren to live by, and within, we better be very clear on the idea that the individual is the cornerstone of society and not the group. Because the whole purpose of the governments should be to protect the rights of the individual. And if you remember, right in the preamble of the Declaration of Independence for the United States, it says it is the function of the state to protect the rights of the individual, not to grant them, but to protect the rights of the individual. Very important concept. And this is perhaps the most fundamental of all of the dividing lines between the individualist and the collectivists.